I got a special guest for you tonight. Her name's Lucy Nelida, and we're going to share her story. Her story. And her story, if you missed the video last night, it's a story of perseverance. It's a story of faith. It's a story of, saying no to the status quo. And it's a story of really, I think it's a story of self-love, and we're going to get into that. So as we warm up here, I'm going to be bringing Lucy on live, and we're going to be talking about her book. She is just about to finish her book, and this book, well, we'll get into that story about the book. But I would ask you to share this link if you would. Reach as many people as you can, because this story is going to be powerful. Because I know some of the story, I don't know all of the story, and I'm just honored to be able to have this space to bring Lucy on to talk about this book. And if you've ever wanted to write a book, there's some things that I know that are on your heart. It's tough to bring that out. So what I want to do is take this moment. I want to bring Lucy on live right now, and we're going to jump into the interview. I would ask you to share this with somebody who might be going through a tough time. Maybe somebody is having some doubts. Maybe they had a bad situation in life, something that would really knock somebody off, knock somebody off track. And so I'm going to bring Lucy on here. Let me just make sure we can do that. And let me just grab it. And here we go. So we're bringing Lucy on live. Hey, Lucy, thank you. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. As you can see, we're navigating through the technology, but we're here. So I just want to ask everybody again to please share this video, because I know this is going to be impactful. It's great to have the playback, but it's even better to be able to interact live and to hear this live for the very first time. An amazing person with an amazing story is going to share the essence of her story, and I know it's going to be very impactful. So by all means, share this with somebody, even if it's one person, and we're going to get into the meat of the story. So Lucy and I were talking before. We did a little warm up, but I guess what I want to say, Lucy, is that you wrote a book.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you talk about where this was, because there's a history with you and I, and why don't we open up with that story, and so people can get a little bit of a background of how we ended up here,
Sure.
The sideline story, if you will.
Well, I met you through a mutual friend of ours, and I began watching your videos, and I enjoyed your message, and even attended your seminar workshop. And it was at that workshop that, it got me thinking about a lot of things, and, to open up my mind, and to, not be so afraid of putting myself out there, and really challenging myself. And I had been doing that for a little bit of time anyway, but that was just like the icing on the cake for me, because it really validated what I needed to pursue and to continue doing. And and I helped you out with some events, and our friendship has gotten closer, and it's been great. You have pushed me, and it was at one of your events where I said, you know what, I've been writing this book for quite some time now, and I made a declaration that I would finish it by this year, and yeah, it's done. It's done.
So let's go back. When did you make that declaration?
That was at your. Oh, I'm really bad at remembering certain things, but I think it was Free Will 11, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Free Will 11. So that was what, last year?
Last year.
So I think that was in September, if I'm not mistaken. And like I said, I had already been in the process of writing it, but I kept holding myself back. And it wasn't until I made that declaration that I said, you know what, I really need to finish this. So I really put forth effort in finishing it. And yeah, it's done. It's pretty much completed.
I remember that time frame. I remember that event, and I remember. And for those of you that are stumbling across this, if you've ever thought about writing a book, it forget the part of like the writing of the book, but when you are writing a story, there's so many things going on, and that's why this is going to be there's really, Lucy, there's really two stories here, and this is why I'm excited about this, because not only to hear your personal story, but the story behind the story, which is the book writing process, and I think this is paramount. And I wanted to, you and I were talking before, and I we talked about like releasing the title and how we would do it, and it's funny, but I said, why don't we talk about the former title, because this is when you and I were talking about this really struck me. And so why don't you talk about the former title, because it's a new title now. We're going to release, Lucy's going to release the title of her book by the end of the video. But why don't you talk about the former title, because this is going to really hit home with people, I think, as they hear this play out.
Okay. Since the idea of my book, I always had it titled Broken. And that's because I think for most of my life, I felt broken. Pretty much broken. I felt, there really wasn't any sense or purpose that my life was, gearing towards. And so I figured, you know what, I wanted to, if I'm going to write this book, I wanted to, kind of highlight all the bad things that happened in my life, and, how broken I am, and how these bad things can happen, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I don't want to get too much into detail, in regards to what types of abuse I experienced in my life, because I think that's, but I for the most part of my life, especially from the, I would say age of 3.5, 4 years old, I was physically abused, mentally abused. And, no child should have to go through that. No child should have to go through not feeling protected, or not feeling loved, or not feeling safe. But it's funny, because even when certain situations happened in my life, I always felt God near me. And that's something in the book that when I initially started, with the whole title Broken, I noticed that as the more I wrote, like in the beginning, it almost sounded angry. But as I was going through this journey of self-discovery, of discovering who I am, of discovering, what my purpose in life was, I realized that I saw God in every aspect that happened. I saw God. So my faith in God has always been very strong. My relationship with God has always been very strong. But bad things happen. Bad things happen. And when you don't have that foundation of love, of complete protection, of understanding, etc., that most of us would grow up with, you become pretty much feeling like nothing, like you're worthless, and I grew up most of my life feeling that way, going through that period of child abuse, being blamed for things that weren't your responsibility. There were times that I was locked up in the basement, overnight, and then later on, there was domestic violence issues with my mother and her boyfriend. And so I know we ran away one night. We left and moved to New York, and she met some other people, and things, etc., happened, and some other stuff started happening. And mind you, this is all a period from 4 to 10 years old, and a lot of this stuff not even my own family knows about, and in the book it goes more into detail. I don't get too graphic about things, because that's not the purpose of the book, but I do tell my story. I think it's important to understand that we go through things, and sometimes, bad things happen. And, but going, when I think the catalyst was, when, one evening, certain situations happened, and, I got very, very, I ran away because of those certain circumstances, and I was brought back, and right in front of my mother, this man just beat me up, you know. I think he even had the intention of, child prostitution, using me as that. Um, but my mom was like very adamant, no, no, no. So, I do not want to paint my mother in a bad light whatsoever. As I've gotten older and as a mother myself, I've come to realize, and this is all part of the journey, all part of that journey, um, that I don't know what's happened in her life, that she stayed in certain relationships. I do know that at least when it mattered the most, she said no, and that is key for me, and that's very important for me, because for the longest time, I held so much anger towards her, you know. Um, but as I've gotten on this journey of discovery, of being vulnerable, per se, um, you really open up. You really, it's never easy. You look at inward, it's never easy to be honest with yourself at times. Never easy.
It
And I
isn't.
think it takes a lot of guts and takes a lot of courage to really dig deep and be absolutely vulnerable and without the BS. Just say, making that list. Why is it that I'm feeling, like crap? Or why is it that I feel that I'm not worthy, or, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But maybe I'm getting a little too ahead of myself, but
No, you're
that's what
fine.
happened. I think, that foundation was never really built, you know. However, I found that even with that, I had such a love for God and such a love for people. So no matter what, even though these terrible things were happening, I still had so much love to give. And I think for me, it was always trying to measure up, trying to have people accept me and, just love me, and that, trying to please people, trying to become so quote unquote what they wanted, etc., was key for me because I needed to feel loved. I wanted to feel love. And even if it was in the wrong manner, it was that need, that I just wanted to be loved. Um, my grandmother raised me, and let me tell you, phenomenal woman, phenomenal. She raised 6 children of her own and raised me. Um, and, this is a woman that doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to write, didn't know the language, but yet came to the United States from Puerto Rico and raised her kids, raised her children, great kids. My aunts are absolutely amazing and great examples of what it is to be, a part of a family and marriages. And I mean, one of my uncles, they've been married for over 40 something years. If that's not a testament to love.
This is one of your uncles, 40
Yes,
years?
yes, one of my aunt and uncles, more than 40 years together. They were together since the age of 14, and they're over 60. So, and they raised 5 children of their own. So, I had great examples in my family. Um, but again, there was a lot of stuff that they didn't know. They really didn't know. And
No, I just want to, first off, I just want to honor you for just sharing what you shared because you and I were talking before. And this is nerve wracking. Like, listen, this is nerve wracking, right? To come up here and talk about these things, and it stirs up some things. But the one thing I wanted to point out as we're discussing, you and I were discussing yesterday, and I had asked you a question, and I think I said, when did you start to see your mom differently, or something like that? Remember?
yes, I can't see my mom differently. Remember, I got married young. and had 4 beautiful children who I absolutely adore. Next to God, they're like the thing.
And by the way, I've met your children. Your children are amazing. I mean, that to me is, and I think you would agree, like that to me is such a testament. If everything else was wrong, and your children, the way they come, who they are as people, the way they represent themselves, what they're doing with their lives, that is such a testament of you. And that to me is, because when I met them, I was so impressed.
Oh, thank you. They're great kids. I mean, I know you didn't have a chance to meet my oldest daughter, but you met the other 3, and all 4 of them, you're absolutely amazing. I'm very, very proud of them. Very, very proud of them. Like I said, next to God, they're the thing I love most in this world. Absolutely. But becoming a mother was a big thing for me, because I never thought I was going to become a mother or be married or had that foundation, that like my aunt and uncles had. To experience that whole marriage thing and to be married for the rest of my life, etc. And as in life, things happen, and my ex-husband and I, we separated, and then we divorced, and it was through that I think I really lost who I was. I went through a period of really bad depression, to the point that I really didn't feel like living. I really didn't feel like living. I didn't feel it brought back so much of the earlier years. I was having nightmares. I was having flashbacks. I was remembering things that I had forgotten. So I went through a period where it was really, really tough. And, going through that experience and then losing people who you absolutely adored. I mean, people that you considered family, all of a sudden, either became quote unquote neutral or quote, just disappeared on you, because they were angry at you because of the way you quote were acting out, not realizing that at the time I needed just unconditional loving. That's what I needed at the time. I didn't know that. They didn't know that, and even while I was it's funny because I've always been very resourceful, and even during that period of time, I would research stuff and then I would send it to my friends. This is how you can help me, so help me please, But even with that, it just became, I don't know, I really don't know when I explain it, but it was one day I was walking the park. It was, and I remember it was in Easter. During Easter time, my children were with their father, and I was by myself, and I was, it was Maddie, my dog. We were taking a walk in the park, and then at the park, there's a willow tree. And I love willow trees. Willow trees are my favorite. So I happened to see the willow tree, and I always had with me like a purse and a notebook. Happened to see the willow tree, and I'm walking, and it just hit me, as I'm thinking about the book and I'm thinking about things that I need to write in it, it hit me. I'm like, why am I saying I'm broken? There's absolutely nothing broken about me. I have no broken bones. I've cried tears, but they haven't broken me. Yes, I felt rock bottom. Yes, but I'm not broken. There's absolutely nothing broken about me. And it just started hitting me, and it started like, I just went and sat down under that willow tree, and I kid you not, I think I was there for like good 3 hours just writing and writing and writing. And I thought about my mother. And that's when I started thinking of her differently. Because then I put myself in her shoes. She was 18 years old. She had me. And by a man that was 35 years old. So I don't know. And as I started reflecting on that, and as I started reflecting on stories that I was told about my mother and my father, about their relationship and things like that, unfortunately, my father passed away. And even when I tried having discussions with him, he was not honest. He was a great grandfather to my children, and I got to see a side of him that I wished I would have seen growing up, because I wasn't raised by him, and most of his life he was an alcoholic, alcoholic. So, but I was able to get a glimpse of what type of father he could have been, but still I didn't have that bond with him.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, I'm kind of envious of my children because they know what it is to feel that unconditional love from their father and their mother.
Yeah.
I never in this life know what that feels like.
No, but you became the mother you needed to be because of your story. Show Lucy some love, by the way. I mean, if you're listening to this story, please, I mean, show Lucy some love. I mean, and I just want to stop you for a second because this to me is so important for people to understand. And there's inspiration everywhere in Lucy's story, and it's such a testament of who you are as a person. But this journey you went on where the moment you started to see yourself differently, you saw your mother differently. I want people to get this because if you're being critical of others and you're judgmental of them and you have a sense of blame, I mean, if anybody could blame, it would be Lucy. If anybody could blame somebody, it's very easy to blame when you've come from an abusive situation. And you know when you avoid the blame and you look at yourself and you look at yourself with self-love and you realize you're not broken, it translates over into everything else. And so that's why I said yesterday, I think this is a journey of all the other things we talked about, but a journey of self-love. And once you feel that self-love, it permeates into everybody. And for Lucy, for you to see your mom in that light, I mean, I understand, I can relate to your story so much. And I know that other people can. And I just want to, as we're on this topic, what did you need to get free from in order to get to this place? Because it's so, you could be still, sitting here rooted in blame and hurt and depression and just being in that place that I know some people can relate to. And it's such an ugly place. And I just want to grab the essence of this, because that's the theme of this, is to get free, to get free. And so what is it that you got free from to get to this amazing place that you're at?
One of the things that for me, and I had this amazing mentor. I had two amazing mentors, a priest who I worked with, who was my boss for many, many years. And he when Senior Robert Victor, he was absolutely amazing. He was my confidant, friend, mentor. And when I needed that spiritual essence per se, he would be the one person I would go to. And I loved being around him because he was so non-judgmental, and, we have, certain church doctrines can be very strict, but he was the kind of priest that you could say anything and he would be very real. And another one was Mary O'Neill, who passed away as well.
Who? I'm sorry, who?
Mary O'Neill.
Mary O'Neill.
Mary O'Neill. She passed away about 2-3 years ago. And the one thing that she reminded me of was that I needed to be gentle with myself. I needed to be gentle. That how could I be so hard on myself over things that I had no control over?
Right.
And feeling ashamed and feeling, things that really I had no control over, and feeling guilty of things that the adults in my life should have been protecting me from. And it's that journey, when you go deep inside, I think the biggest is really being gentle with yourself, but being real, being vulnerable, being absolutely vulnerable to the point in saying that, you know what, I am scared. I am scared. And I'm frightened of what's to come. And I'm frightened of, the things that I'm not sure of. That if am I ever going to find love? Are my kids ever going to be proud of me? Am I going to succeed in life? Am I, am I deserving of love? Am I, whatever these questions, these things, or these triggers that we tell ourselves, because the mind can play tricks on us, and these things that we tell ourselves to put ourselves even more deep in there. And then that's where the blame comes from, because then we start, well, the reason I'm feeling this is because of him or because of her. She did this to me, or he did this to me, etc. But not realizing that we can't control what people do to us, but we can control how we react to it, and we can control what we do with that.
Right.
And sitting under that willow tree, I think I must have cried my eyes off that day, because I realized that the hardest person I was being with was myself. I was beating myself up. I was
Right.
punishing myself for what other people had done to me. So I was continuing that whole process of the belittlement, the, putting her down, etc. I was doing that to myself. I was punishing myself. And I realized, wait a minute. No, this is not how it's supposed to be. And one of my favorite Psalms has always been Psalm 121. From where does my help come from? My help comes from the heavens and, God. And since a little girl,
Somebody can post that psalm for me. Somebody, Psalm 121. If you get somebody can post that in the comments, that would be great. And Lucy, yeah, and I want to grab some of these comments here, Lucy, too, when you're done, because we got some people that are sharing, and I want to make
okay,
sure I
sure.
grab them. But,
And it was just, when I was crying and etc. And, and I said, you know what, I'm feeling so vulnerable and I'm feeling so low and I'm feeling like I feel like I cried my heart out. It was then that, I remembered Psalm 121 and I started praying it, and I had my phone, I looked it up because I couldn't remember the whole verse, and I just prayed it. And all of a sudden, I felt kind of like an overwhelming love, come over me, kind of like a peacefulness. And then that's when I started writing. And Austin, I just want to say, I'm not going to give away the title yet because I want to leave that to
yeah.
the end. But in the book, there are 3 symbols. The bird, there's a symbol of a bird, a raven. There's a butterfly, and then there's a flower. Mm-hmm. And when that day that I was under the willow tree, there was a bird, and it was a raven. And I've always seen a raven every single time that something bad happened. And afterwards, where I would pray on it, etc., a raven would always show up.
Wow.
And I detail about that in the book. So,
wow.
I think God has always been with me no matter what. And I think we go through stages in life that we're meant to go through, hopefully, so that later in life we can learn what our purpose is. And we're here to help others. That's our main focus, I believe. I believe, love God above all things, but love thy neighbor as you would love yourself. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve others,
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And guess what? You're doing it tonight. And I'll be fully honest, Lucy was a little nervous about this because it's not easy to come on and talk about these things. But you know what? And Lucy realizes this, is that serving others is more important than the way people are going to think about you. Mm-hmm. And I just want to grab a couple of these things because there was so much here, Lucy, and I just want to make sure I can grab it and reflect it back so that people get it. And I want to also grab some of the shares. But from what I heard, like when I asked you about getting free, what did you get free from? It sounds like you got free from blame. So if you're listening to this, who are you blaming, right? Get free from blame. It's, get away from the things that you had no control over, those other people. And then getting free from beating yourself up, right? People beat themselves up, and it's a tough place, especially when it's abuse, because you think it's your fault. It's like being stuck, and where do you go? And you're not the only one. And Candace was sharing earlier. Yes, Candace, you're not the only one. That's why Lucy's talking about this story, because people need to know they're not the only one. You're not the only one going through this. Depression, abuse, it feels like an island. It feels like you're by yourself, but you're not. And Lucy is a testament to that. And just to be able to get free from blame and to get free from the beating yourself up, right? And most people, grab their story and they use it as a club to beat themselves up. And I
Absolutely.
know you did that in the past, Lucy, and
Oh,
I know I did it in the past too.
I did it often. You know what I mean? I did it often because I didn't know any better. You know, I really did not know any better. It wasn't until I stopped. I really stopped and really looked at myself and really did that inner work that I think is so important. But it's not going to work if you're not willing to dig deep. You know, if you're just
Yeah,
going to look at yourself superficially and not look at what that underlying layer is, then you're not going to get real. You're not going to, get free from it. You know what I mean? You really need to dig deep. That's the
yeah. And
and be
why would
vulnerable.
you?
You
And
have to be vulnerable and be
have to
okay.
be vulnerable. Yeah. Why would you want to keep? If it's not working, you got it. Like, you don't want to live the same painful day over and over again. And one of the other things I want to point out, which is a distinction for me in my journey, is being able to. And the way you said it, Lucy, was be gentle but be real. There's a thing there. Be gentle with yourself. Be real. For me, it was, I say, be willing to look at yourself, fully look at yourself, but have grace with yourself. Like that, if you can get to that place, because most people, when they think about looking at themselves, they feel like a failure. They feel like they're not good enough, so they don't look at it. So then the cycle repeats. And so what Lucy said so eloquently is so valuable. I hope you get this, is to be willing to be gentle with yourself, but be willing to be real with yourself. Be gentle and real, not real and beat yourself up. No, no, be real and be gentle with yourself. And I just want to go back and grab some of these shares, Lucy, so that we can make sure we're including everybody. Conchetta saying she remembers. Nancy, I remember. Oh, I remember Austin with the shoebox. Congratulations, Lucy, on your new book, The Shoebox. Um, so proud of you. Janira Colazo.
Oh,
Conchetta saying amazing. Daniela Camacho saying love you too. Oh, is this your this?
that's my daughter.
It's
That's
your
my
daughter. She's on here. That's awesome. She's so proud of you. So proud of you. This is Yesnia. Am I saying that right?
that's Yesenia. That's my niece.
That's your niece. So proud of you because it takes such a strong person to speak out publicly about traumatic things in their life. It shows growth. Amen to that. And Rob is on here. Thanks, Rob. And Amelia saying so proud. Thanks you for sharing your story. And Amelia saying you're going to help lots of people, and I believe that. And I think women are going to be especially drawn to you because they need to hear your story and what you can overcome. Rob says he remembers Mary O'Neill, and Kansas again. She's saying I have the same thoughts in my head. Wow, I thought I was the only one. No, you're not the only one.
No, you're not, Candace.
And then Rob sharing Psalm 121. If you want to read that, I will lift up mine eyes onto the, and by the way, I don't. This is not a spiritual. I don't claim to be a spiritual program, but it just goes with the territory. So if you are a spiritual person, welcome. If you're not, what is it that you can lean on? What is it where can you draw your inspiration? What is it that you need to get free from? What is it that you can use? What resources can you use to do this? I know Lucy's a very spiritual person, and so for some of us, it's important to have that knowingness, that faith, and that was in your story, faith.
Just to interject
So
there, too,
important.
Austin. Mary O'Neill, for example, she wasn't religious either. You know what I mean? But I loved her because she believed in a higher power. Not necessarily maybe God or whatever, but she believed in a higher power, and and everything she used to tell me was, everything that you do, you want to do it for your highest good. Anything, wherever
Yeah,
you go, do it for your highest good, and if that you have that energy, you send that energy out and
yeah,
make their highest. So that to me is the equivalent of prayer when we say pray
yes,
for others, et cetera, et cetera. So I personally, I don't judge anyone what
yes,
the beliefs are. I would never. You know me for quite some time now,
yeah,
and I have atheist friends, I have agnostic friends, I have
yes,
people who are very extreme religious people, and I have people who, etc. I don't judge
yeah,
anybody's walk in life. Whatever their faith journey is, we all are part of it. Whatever it
yeah,
is. I just know that I realized that my purpose that day when I was under that willow tree, that my purpose is same way I was beaten down and, on the ground, and I lifted myself up. And mind you, I had help with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Patricia, Patricia Epps, she helped me immensely. When everybody else turned away, let me tell you, she was there every single day. And I strongly believe that that's God. God will put people in your life, or whatever you
Right.
believe, will put
Amen.
people in your life that will bring you to your next level, and that will help you get out from that, so that they can be, they're your anchor. So when you're not loving yourself very much, they're there to help you love yourself, and I
That's
had
great.
wonderful people, besides Patricia. I mean, I have, my circle is very small, you know, and Shirley and Yanida, those people are absolutely my core, core, who love me when I am saying I'm sick and tired of this daggone world. They reel me back in. Lucy, come on, So we all are going to experience ugly days. We're all going to experience those moments where we doubt ourselves, where we continuously beat ourselves up, etc. But it's not staying there. That's what's important.
Key.
Not allowing yourself to stay there. Not allowing yourself
Yeah.
to, you know, continually beat yourself up. You can't change circumstances. You can't go back. I mean, I wish I had a time machine and go back. I mean, but mind you, I wouldn't change a thing. Only thing I would change is finish my college degree. Like that's what I would change. But other than that, I wouldn't change a thing, because that is what made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And today, no matter what, I know I have an overwhelming gift of love, a gift of service, a gift of just unconditional with people. And that's something I want to, further work on, really help as best way as I can. So I don't know, you have to reel me in, because I can go on a tangent here.
No, I just want to honor you and everybody who happened to click on this, whether you're live or on the playback. And this is this is a place to get free. I mean, this is what I'm working to create. And Lucy happened to come into my circle, and it's an amazing story. I remember talking about the book, and we do want to get to the title of the book, the real title of the book. But if you're just joining us, let me just recap, because I want to make the point to say that the original book title for Lucy was called Broken. And through the course of what you just heard, there was a journey for her, and she had a moment, and she had grace with herself, self-love, and it carried out into her other relationships. She saw people in her circle different. And as a result, the title of the book changed. And Zig Ziglar says that everyone should write a book, even if you have zero plans of selling a book. That everyone should write a book. And this is a great story of not only the essence of what Lucy's, her journey, but the story of the writing of the book, and the openness and the growth and the willingness to be vulnerable, all the things we're talking about here tonight. And so maybe this is an invitation for you, if you're listening, to get free. Maybe it's that you're going to write your own book. But let's get into the title of the book. Everybody's been waiting. What is the title of the book, and when's it going to be released? Where can we get it? I'll share the link, when it's out there. But I know people are going to want to get a copy of the book, Lucy.
That's awesome. The book itself, I'm hoping to have it by, well, we're going to be doing the website launch and the cover reveal and all that stuff, hopefully by the July.
So let's just say this again. You're going to be doing the website launch
of the website with the link. It'll have the unveiling of the book cover, the detailed message about the book, what its purpose is, and there'll be a link so that you can pre-order the book sometime in hopefully by the end of July, God willing.
Okay.
And so I'm hoping that then by September that it'll be out, God willing.
All right. And so it'll be like September. So I want everybody just to keep a close eye on me and what's happening. I'll make sure that I get the link out through my channel for people to get a hold of, because I know that this is something that needs to get out there, and people need to get a hold of this book. Because
I just want to give a very brief. the book itself is written kind of in stages. It's kind of, from childhood, um, teenage years, woman, wife, mother, and human, you know, and it's not your typical book about a story about, what happened, etc. Yes, it tells you what happened, but beyond that, I want people to realize that I want them to go on a journey as well. So while you're in the book reading, you're going to go on a journey as well. And I just at that you're going to go on a journey as well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So not only you're going to get through the stages, but it's that's a great, I love that, because as they're learning your story and going on your journey, it's going to be a personal journey. So if you're somebody who, well, first of all, if you're just jumping into this, share this video with somebody you love, because I think this is going to be a great thing for somebody to listen to. But if you're looking at the book's going to be your journey. And I think that's a great thing to communicate for people who are waiting for it. So we're excited about the book, and just keep a close eye. And we got a lot of shares happening here about the book, some stuff about me, which I'm not going to get into any of that right now. But Lucy, why don't you reveal the title of the book? And if somebody is in your circle that knows the title of the book, they can type it in. So after you say it. So why don't you reveal the former title was broken, the new title?
Okay, yeah, the former was broken, but from there we have to rise. We can't stay there. We have to rise from whatever circumstances are. So the title is Lotus Rising,
Lotus
a
Rising.
reflection of growth.
Say the second part.
A reflection of growth.
And why don't you tell them about the lotus, so people know metaphorically what that means?
The lotus flower, if when we are going through our traumatic experience, and especially children or adults who have been abused as children, we feel dirty, we feel like worthless, etc. And flowers have never been my thing, but there's been a flower that always stood out. Every time, for whatever reason, every time I saw a picture of it, it just fascinated me. So I said one day, I asked someone, well, what is that flower? They told me it's a lotus flower. And so I researched it, and the lotus flower is the only flower that can grow in the swamps. It's the only flower that can grow in the swamps. So here you have an area that's murky, that's dirty, etc. But then such a beautiful flower arises from there. And that was the whole, when I went through that journey of discovering myself, of really opening up to myself, I said, you know what? Yeah, I'm rising above this. I'm going to arise above this, because I refuse to be a status quo, another statistic. I'm so proud, because I changed the abuse and all that stuff, the cycle, statistic wise, I should have been beating my kids. I should have been, whatever. I should have been a hood rat. You know what I'm saying? But but no, God had a different purpose for my path. And I had to go through all of that to find my purpose in life. And I feel I'm truly blessed. I really, truly am blessed. I'm working, at a school where I absolutely adore the children. And, it's been my mission, and I've been there for over 24. I'm starting my 24th year there. And so the book was so important to write, because while I had bad things happen to me, I know there are bad things happening out in this world, worse than I had happened to me. I'm hoping that if any young girl, any young woman are still feeling lost, or still feeling not sure about anything, or whatever it may be, that they can pick up this book and hopefully go on this journey and rediscover who they are, and hopefully define themselves and find their purpose. And that's the mission of the book, is to inspire, to empower, and not become the status quo, not become what everyone else says that you're supposed to be, but be who you're meant to be, whatever that is, and to really grow, not just grow in faith, grow in in health, grow in life, but grow in love. You know, we're here for love. Let's
Yeah,
bring more of that in this world.
I love it. That's a great thing to end on there. And just to say, I mean, that's a great message, Lucy. And I despite all the other things that you say, I mean, I keep coming back to love, self love, and having grace with yourself. I think whether you're a man or woman, there's a path that we all take, and I think we all need that at some level. You know,
Absolutely.
men are always trying to prove themselves to be the good little boy, and women are trying to, be worthy. They're trying to show up and get love, and there's this constant thing that's going on, and you just got to know that you're
You have to realize that we're all given different gifts. We're all
we're all
given
different gifts,
gifts,
right?
challenges, different aspects, and we're here to learn from each other. So instead
Yeah,
of bringing each other down, let's build each other up, and let's take this walk together, and let's step out in love.
let's
I
do it.
saw something recently, not that long ago, that we're always changing, we're always evolving. Today we go to bed, tomorrow we wake up a different person. Just because you could have a nightmare, you can have a different thought pattern, you can have a dream, or something can come in. So you wake up a different person, whether you realize it or not. Every single day you wake up a new person.
Yep. So, Lucy, it's been an honor to have you. If someone can type in the title of the book, it's called Lotus Rising, and I'm going to make sure I get this right. It's a reflection of growth.
A reflection of growth.
So the book is Lotus Rising, a reflection of growth. We're going to have that information to you. And, Lucy, I have a feeling we're going to be doing something at an event. I think one of the events that I have, we'll definitely have you come up and share a piece when the book comes out. And I just want to say that this is Freedom Live #3. I've launched this as a way to get free for people, to help them get free. I'm bringing stories like Lucy's. What is it that you need to get free from? Maybe there's something you heard here tonight to help you get free, to know that you're not alone. I mean, to stay present and, get free, stay present, and then move forward with your life, your business, and your relationships. And I say create more meaning and purpose than ever before. And I'm not using hyperbole. I want you to get that you can create more meaning and purpose than ever before. And Lucy is a testament to that in her story. And I just want to end by saying next week, I have special guests coming up. Next week, I have a guest that I can't even put it into words. And this gentleman is such an inspiration, and he comes in such an unlikely package. This is going to move you. And I mean, I am honored to be able to bring stories like Lucy and the gentleman that I'm going to have next week. I'll be doing some promotion. And then I'm going to have my partner, James McNeil, who's going to be joining me in upcoming weeks as well. So I'm going to have a host of people that I'm going to bring to you, of stories, of inspiration, of overcoming, because you know what? I need it. You need it. We all need to hear the story, because that is where the essence is. That's what's going to help us. We do it together. So I'm building a community. All you need to do is click on the link for this. I'll share it. And you can attend this weekly. All you got to do is just say you're going. You'll get notified when I go on live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's two things that I realized. One is that people want something. There's a want. They want to get free. They want to lose weight. They want to get out of depression. They want to achieve a certain level of success. They want a certain income. They want to travel. They want to move. They want to improve their relationship. There's a want. And the second thing I found is that most people are not in an environment. They're not running with people that are going to help them get that. They're feeling like they're alone, like Lucy's story. Like I know Candace felt like that. You feel like you're alone. So what I'm offering here is a community, an environment, so that you can get around people that can help you get free, to go after that thing that you want, whatever it is. So I just want to end this on saying, Lucy, thank you so much for sharing. This is amazingly powerful. And I want you to share this. If you got value from Lucy's story, share it with at least one person. If you don't share it on your wall, let someone else hear the story. There's other people that are struggling out there with abuse, with depression, with all these things, and they feel like they're alone. And I think the most powerful thing is community. Certainly going to a life coach, a professional, all these things are great. But we know, if you go back in history, we had villages, right? There was villages, and it says it takes a village. You ever hear that quote? It takes a village to raise a child. because when the parents weren't around, there was other people that were in there that they would watch over, and there's so much power in community, and that's a big part of what I'm looking to create here with people like Lucy. So God bless you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you, and feel free to just share this and click on and make sure you click on next week. And also, Lucy, how can people connect with you? Because I want to make sure. How would you like them to connect with you right now before the book comes out? Just through Facebook or whatever?
Just
Or
go my Facebook, yes. They can
okay.
my Facebook, definitely.
So why don't you take your link, your Facebook book link, and just put it in the comments here as a tag so people can find you.
We'll do after the video.
And then they can friend you, okay?
Sure.
This has been awesome. Thank you so much, Lucy, for being vulnerable. You're living it, and I know there's going to be so much more to come. So everyone have a great night.
Thank you so much. There's a lot more. This is only the beginning. Lotus Rising, you're going to hear that name later on with little projects, something that I'm working on with my friends. So, yeah, stay tuned.
Stay tuned, everyone. There's more coming, and make sure you connect with Lucy. Amen. God bless you guys. We love you. Have an outstanding night. We'll see you very soon. Bye for now.